Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In a previous video, I introduced the Basso Venta R, an entry-level performance bike manufactured in Italy and constructed with a carbon frame and fork. The bike came equipped with Shimano 105 12-speed mechanical drivetrain. In today's video, I will share my impressions after a few rides, and I will also do the most basic of entry-level bike upgrades, a wheelset swap. I will then take the bike back out on another group ride and share my impressions of the bike's performance and feel after the swap. All right, second impressions of the bike. When I first get on the bike feels like it's up higher. They're calling this a 53. And when I look at the geometry chart, if I were to go down to, let's say, a 51 to bring that down a little bit, then I'm dealing with an even shorter top tube, and that just wouldn't work for me. Like if I were going to keep this bike long term for the way how I ride, I would need at least 120 stem on here. And I could probably also deal with pushing the seat back a little bit further, because I do feel like I'm kind of a little bit too far up over the bottom bracket. Actually, I feel that in my knees. Reminds me of when I used to motor base behind construction trucks. Don't do that at home, kids. Excuse me while I get myself together. What I need to do is put a different wheel set on this bike and see how it will change the performance characteristics of it. So that's what I'm going to do this weekend. I'll do a more a fast group ride, a more spirited ride with a different wheel set, and we'll see. So I'm going to do a wheel set swap from the house wheels to the SuperTeam S All Carbon Evo. Both are 28 millimeters, but that's an 11-speed cassette while I'm running a 12-speed drivetrain currently on the bike, so that's no big deal. I'll swap out the cassette in a minute. I'm running these wheels tubeless and actually using Joe's No Flats. I'm getting a very nice sensation from it. Look for an upcoming review of me talking about my experience running tubeless on the road. I know it's very controversial, but also a more in-depth review of me running tubeless on gravel, because gravel season is upon us. All right, enough of that. Let's swap out these wheels. The wheel set swap reduced the weight from 20.2 pounds to 18.7 pounds, or 9.17 kilos, down to 8.45, which is to be expected, but let's see how that translates out on the ride and the type of sensations that the bike is going to give back. Remember, I'm not doing any type of instrumented testing, so it's all based on feel. So the wheel set that I used to upgrade the bike is a SuperTeam S All Carbon Evo, and it's a wheel set that I reviewed on the channel. I'll link to it so that you can check it out. And it wasn't a detailed review, it was just kind of like an initial ride impression, unboxing type deal. I'll be doing a full review on this wheel set because I've had an opportunity to have them on a bunch of different bikes, and one of the things that I can say about this wheel set is every single bike that I have had it on, it has brought the bike alive. It has improved the bike's performance. Even bikes that already had carbon wheels on them, and I put the Super 6 team wheels on. Did I say Super 6? The Super Team wheels on there, and it just made the bike better. It's very solid. You feel the quality of the bike. It has that ratchet system where it's like that immediate engagement, but I like where the bike comes in terms of weight. And this is one of the things that I think you've got to take into consideration. Don't just say, I'm going to just go buy some lightweight wheels or some carbon wheels or some deep section wheels as an upgrade to my bike. Make sure that the wheel set that you're getting to upgrade your bike is conducive to the type of riding that you like to do. If you're riding along on the flats, you want something that's reasonably aerodynamic. If you're doing a lot of hill climb, obviously you're going to prioritize weight. And if you're doing rollers, you're going to have to find some kind of compromise. These wheels coming in at 50 millimeters and weighing 1,360 grams is kind of like that sweet spot for the fast group rides that I like to do, that I would use these wheels as a tool to help me improve my performance in those situations. And one of the things that I have found, and I'll be doing a deeper discussion about this in my wheel set review, when I ride wheels that are below that 1,300 gram weight on flat, fast group rides, I get up to speed and then it's like, it's a tussle. I'm putting an awful lot of watts to just keep the bike where I want it to be. So yeah, make sure that the wheel set that you're selecting is right for the type of riding that you're doing. Otherwise, it may not really be an upgrade. It could be a downgrade. But it looks like we're going to be riding in some wet conditions. My intentions were to get out on a fast ride over the weekend, but unfortunately that was not possible. You know, the usual unexpected life gets in the way type of thing. So the next best thing is Team Recovery's ride, which is held Monday evening. It's a brisk mid-tempo ride, and it's a 30-mile loop, and I usually end up with an average of around 20 miles per hour. Most importantly, there are a few sections of this ride where I can test acceleration, cornering, and just the general straight line behavior of the bike at speed. Cherie, Dre, it's like the whole band is back together. Even got Tito out here today.
Yeah, man, it's a miracle.
Tito is out, Adrian's out, they're gone.
God's good.
All the time. How you been, brother?
Good, man.
I'm going to get into some performance specifics here on the ride, but I want to preface everything I'm about to say by saying that this is a very, very good bike, and it epitomizes the entry-level performance bike very well. It may be a little off performance-wise compared to premium performance bikes, but it isn't something that a newer cyclist will notice or even be affected by based on their level of fitness. And for me, the fit is a little bit off, but once again, this is an ample comparison because I have spent years developing my position and my flexibility and my strength to be able to sustain that position. But for a newer cyclist, the position is ideal. Certainly feels like it comes off the light faster. Not much I can say. But it does certainly feel livelier, I can say that much. Maria! Yo también, Maria. Acceleration was acceptable. I felt a very good power transmission, and it was more refined than I would expect. The bike never feels nervous. It is truly, truly well-mannered. Turns in well and carbs predictably, which allows you to carry more speed in and out of the corner and responds well to getting back on the power. I didn't notice any excess flex. In fact, I can't really say I noticed any flex at all. And riding along here on a flat set speed, the bike tracks straight and true. It was comfortable and stable platform. We had a lot of crosswind and I didn't feel like the bike was being tossed around, being made unstable by the wind or being buffeted around. And like I said, it's not exhibiting any nervous behavior. The good thing here is that with a few more tweaks, something as simple as swapping out the saddle and the cockpit will drop the weight a little bit more. All these characteristics I'm describing are the things that make it such a good entry-level bike because all I did was upgrade the wheel set and it feels like the bike has jumped up an entire category. Relatively low pay-to-play price and a simple established blueprint to eke out performance. Win-win. When you do a wheel set swap and you're able to take 1.5 pounds or 680 grams out of a build, that's a big deal. Typically, you'll see a 300 or 400 gram improvement. And that drastic change was evident in the way how the bike felt on the ride. The bike just felt so much better. I know it accelerated better, it cornered better, it was, more nimble, but the bike just felt so much easier to ride in this configuration than the way I had it before. And that's with just one upgrade. That speaks volumes to me of the quality of the build of the frame. Yes, the wheel set's more aerodynamic, it's lighter, premium bearings is going to make it more efficient, but that doesn't tell the entire story. This is actually a very phenomenal build. And the consideration of this bike as an entry-level performance bike is one that has to be taken very seriously. One of my early bikes was a Colnago Conic SLX. And it was a very good bike, but I also understood the position of that bike in terms of all the bikes that were available for the Colnago range, because as good as the Conic SLX was, it wasn't the master. But I understood that that's what I could afford and what made sense for me to have at the time. And I slowly upgraded that bike with the wheel set, the cockpit, and eventually the componentry. And that's the same philosophy that I would follow if I were entertaining a performance entry-level bike, because the bike has a racy enough geometry, albeit with a higher stack, shorter reach. But as much as I complained about that in terms of how I orientate myself to a bike, it's ideal for an entry-level cyclist who is looking to getting into the performance aspect of the sport, because that person hasn't developed the flexibility and the core strength to maintain that position that I have after umpteen years of riding the bike. So it would give the person a good platform that is upgradable with performance benefits all along the way. If I were to keep this bike, my next move would have been swap out the saddle. I'll probably be able to save close to 100 grams there. And then my next move would be to swap out the cockpit, go with something carbon, be able to save some weight there. And ultimately, if I decided to keep the bike, I would then look at maybe going from 105 to Ultegra or something else. But it's an exciting platform, and it gives a compelling argument that differs from what will happen when you typically walk into a bike shop and you say you're new in the sport and you want a bike to be able to do fast group rides with. You're going to get steered in a certain direction. And we know that because we see those bikes aplenty on group rides. I personally like the notion of having a bike that everybody doesn't have, an Italian-made carbon frame and fork with a really beautiful silhouette. And man, that wheel set upgrade makes the bike really gorgeous. And that's where I think I'm gonna leave it, guys. The bike corners better, accelerates better, is nimbler and easier to ride. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel by watching these videos, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Speaking of commenting, let your voices be heard in the comment section below. And as always, guys, our aim here is to inform, instruct, inspire. Be blessed. For those of you who didn't sign off yet, I'm going to give you guys a free hub sound test.